Hello again and welcome, and a very happy new year to you. I hope you had a good time on New Year's Eve like I did. Today's video is going to be the second in the revisited series of the beginner's guides, and I'm going to be covering the bowl gouge today. I get a lot of questions regarding the bowl gouge, the usage, what bowl gouge to get, and also whether I can turn a bowl with a spindle gouge. So I'm going to make some comparisons between a bowl gouge and a spindle gouge as well, to hopefully get you to fully understand the differences and what they can do and what they can't do. In a nutshell, you should use a bowl gouge for a bowl purely because it is more stable and it's made of meatier stock. The spindle gouge, you could turn a small bowl, let's say. You could, I would think, as long as it's not too deep and you don't have to hang over the tool rest too far. In actual fact, a 3/8 bowl gouge is a very versatile tool, because you could not only turn a bowl up to a 14-inch like is on here now, no problem at all. You can also use it on spindle work, whereas really you couldn't use a spindle gouge, a 3/8 spindle gouge, on a bowl of this size. So that's worth thinking about as well. Once you've decided where your main work is, ideally one of each would be good for each job at hand. There's a bit of a dilemma with the measurements. Don't get too hung up with it. Some manufacturers measure across the flute, some measure the diameter of the bar stock from which the tool is made, and to be quite honest with you, I have yet to own a tool, a bowl gouge, that actually relates the measurements I get with my vernier to as it is marketed, i.e. a 3/8 bowl gouge. I have a 3/8 bowl gouge which is actually made out of 1/2-inch bar stock. I measure across the flute and that measurement doesn't resemble 3/8 of an inch either. And the 1/2-inch bowl gouge that I've got from both, I have one from Sorby actually, which I've had a long time, and also my usual one from Hope Crown Cryo, that too is made of 5/8 bar stock for the 1/2-inch one, and it really is a crazy situation, but it's been like that since I've been turning, and I'm sure it's been like that since everybody's been turning. If they standardised everything, it would be great. Strangely enough though, the spindle gouge, the 3/8 and the 1/2-inch, are exactly that. They're exactly what they say on the tin. The 3/8 is made out of 3/8 bar stock and the 1/2-inch is made out of 1/2-inch bar stock. I just really don't know why this situation is, but it is. Okay, that aside, what I'm going to do is change the camera angle, show you the different physical, visual differences and between the spindle gouge and the bowl gouge, and then we'll obviously get to turning. I'll have two camera angles. I'll have one close in on the tool as it's cutting the wood, and then I'll have one further away so you can see my body movement and the position of the tool in my grip. Now here we have a 3/8 bowl gouge and a 3/8 spindle gouge, and you can immediately see that the bowl gouge is made of meatier stock. In fact, this 3/8 is made out of 1/2-inch bar stock, whereas the spindle gouge is 3/8. Okay, now the grind that I use is a swept back grind, and the angle that I use on my bowl gouge is 50 degrees. That's what suits me. Again, you have to play around to find out what suits your turning style and the type of turning that you're doing. And what I'll do is I'll just show you the 1/2-inch bowl gouge and spindle gouge, and again you can see the difference between the stability capabilities of the bowl gouge. And this is made out of 5/8 stock, and it's a 1/2-inch bowl gouge, going back to what I was saying in the introduction, and this is a 1/2-inch spindle gouge which is actually made from 1/2-inch bar stock. Okay, so that is the physical difference between the two. More stable the bowl gouges are than the spindle gouges. I'll change the camera angle now and show you the flute design, and that is again quite apparent. The spindle gouges have a much shallower flute than the bowl gouges. So this shot here will show you, here is the 3/8 bowl gouge, and you can see a much deeper flute configuration than on the 3/8 spindle gouge. And again, this obviously aids the removal of chips as you're turning, but the whole makeup of the bowl gouge compared to the spindle gouge is much beefier and stronger. And here I've got the 1/2 inch bowl gouge and the 1/2 inch spindle gouge, and again you can see the much deeper flute on the bowl gouge compared to that of the spindle gouge. So those are the main characteristics or characteristic differences between a bowl gouge and a spindle gouge. So for the purposes of this demonstration, I've got a Sapili bowl blank on here, and I've got some steps here, as you can see, and the reason for this is to hopefully show you my thoughts regarding maintaining a decent cut and hopefully reducing, if not eliminating, things like bounce and catches and judder. These are my views, obviously they're not set in stone. When I first started turning, I saw somebody mention the ABC of turning, which is anchor, bevel, cut. Now on a straight spindle or even on a bowl to begin with, that is it's a fundamental rule and a very important rule, because if you engage the wood before you've got your anchor, you're going to get it knocking down on the wood, and it's easy done if you're not concentrating. And also if you lose your bevel contact, although you don't want to push in with your bevel, you're using it as a guide, you're also going to fall off the cut, or the cut's going to become a little bit more unmanageable. So when you're on a straight cut, those are the fundamentals to think of to begin with. But then if you're going around a corner, you're making a concave cut or a convex cut, it doesn't matter. You have to alter your input. In other words, the flute might have to be closed a bit or opened a bit, whatever. You might have to raise or lower the handle to maintain the cut. Now my theory is, and this is just for me, your goal in life when you're making a cut is, once you've achieved the anchor bevel cut, you want to maintain the same position of production of that shaving on the edge of your tool, on the edge. So to enable you to do that, you need to, as I say, alter the input to that leading edge, to the cutting edge, to maintain the shaving coming off at the same position on that edge. And I'll demonstrate that now, just on this little bit here. We anchor, bevel, lift the handle, in this case, maybe twist a little bit. Now we've got a cut. And you can see where the shaving is coming off the edge, and I'm maintaining the cut in the same position. Now to enable me to do that, I've had to, because I'm going round a convex curve on the outside of a bowl, I've had to slightly maybe lift my handle, alter the aspect of the flute, close the flute a bit, close the flute a little bit, or in this case open it, whichever, to maintain that cut on the same position. Now let's get rid of that step. Again, anchor, bevel, cut, and move around. You can see that the shaving is coming off in exactly the same position. All I'm doing here with my left hand, I'm not pushing, pulling, pushing in. All I'm doing is applying downward pressure through the tool to the tool rest to maintain stability. Once you start to try and maneuver your tool with your left hand, you're going to get into trouble with bouncing and possibly a catch. So with that little step there, we'll just get rid of that. So again, just get the handle raised a bit to get that cut, and then move around. No pressure needed. Let the tool do the work. Job done. And the same if you want to get rid of this now, which we would have to. Again, you can nibble, and it's all good practice. Practice on something like pine or some scrap wood. It doesn't matter on the size of the bowl. The theory is the same. Lift, get the cut going, and move around the corner. And always try and end up in the most comfortable position, because you won't fall off the cut then. Take a little bit at a time. Now I'm getting a bit of judder, lower the handle, and just keep looking at that shaving and making little minute alterations to get the shaving coming off the same part of the cutting edge. So that's my theory of maintaining a decent cut. And just to prove the point, we'll go to here and I'll take that off. You can start over here if you like, doesn't matter. Pick up the cut. See how my body's moving, and if I raise the handle, I'll stop cutting. Okay? If I lower the handle and raise the cutting edge, I lose my cut. So I've got my bevel contact, raising my handle until I get my cut. There's my cut, and move around, maintaining the same position of that shaving. And don't go too quickly. One more. And hopefully get the point. For this cut on the inside of the bowl, I had started actually demonstrating this, but unfortunately I didn't have both cameras on. However, I don't want to go right down to the depth I'm looking for on this bowl, because I do want to finish it later on. I just want to show you the theory behind the cuts. Now, as we know, the wood is turning slower in the middle, so you want to slow up your cut as you're going there, but the same principles apply, anchor, bevel, lift the handle until you start to cut, and then the idea is to keep the shaving coming off the same part of the tool, of the cutting edge, right the way through the cut. So if we start here, again, no pressure with your left hand. That is purely there to give stability and to put pressure down onto the tool rest. Okay, so again, we're going in a scooping motion. So rub the bevel. We'll start here. Rub the bevel. Lift the handle, turn the flute inwards a bit till we start to get a cut. Now we've got a cut, and just move towards the middle, keeping the shaving like we did before in the same place on the cutting edge. Now as we get to the middle, slow up, raise the handle ever so slightly. Now as you can see here, the shoulder, you also want to think about keeping the shoulder the same size through your cut. And then ease up towards the middle. We'll start a bit further out now, so you move your hand out. Start the cut, and start the swing. Notice that the shaving again is coming off the same part. Keep the shoulder the same size if you can. Work your way towards the middle. Slow up, slow up, slow up, slow up. Am I getting that bit of judder in there? I was pushing too much. So again. So again, I'm only trying to show you the theory behind it, and we'll take one more pass. So get yourself comfortable at the end of the cut, lean in, get your bevel, get your edge, and move in. Keeping everything as much as you can in the same, doing everything the same. The shoulder the same size, shaving coming off. Now I'm falling off it now and I'm talking. Right, concentrate. No pressure. Slow up on the cut as you get to the middle. Let the wood fall onto the edge. Work your way to the middle, nice and slowly. What I was trying to achieve with this video was to show the newer turner and the beginning turner what to look for when making a cut. It's only my view, it is not definitive obviously. Two of the most important things I think to keep an eye on. Number one is the ABC, anchor, bevel, cut. To start your cut. Once you've started your cut, your next goal is to maintain that shaving at the same position on the cutting edge. And I know I've said it time and time before, but I feel it's very important. So if you keep those things in mind while you're practicing, or when you're turning a bowl for real, if you like, keep those things in mind and try and understand when you make a mistake or when things don't go quite right, what you need to do to rectify it. It only comes with practice and experience, obviously. I mean, that was not a perfect demonstration by any means, which is good in a way, because when I was getting a bit of bounce or it wasn't cutting correctly, I was falling off the cut. Hopefully the wider angle was showing what I was doing to get back on track, and that's all this video is about. It's not about shape, it's not about finish, nothing, just about the cut. And it might be very boring to a lot of you, but I just felt to show as many shots of the tool doing the cutting and my alterations to maintain that cut. I hope that has been achieved. Well, thank you very much indeed for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you very soon. Cheers now.